So, as I was on my way to find my hotel, I came across Stalag 8C or Stalag Luft 3. So I'm there for tomorrow. I have a whole day exploring this site, and there's one of the huts. So for me, it's all about spending time here. This is one of the highlights of my tour. There's Rummy. She's got me all the way into Poland. So there you have it. Right. So we'll be back in the morning. So we're here. This is it. So this is a mock-up of Stalag Luft 3. So as you can see, it here's, if you look here, this is Harry coming from hut 104, and it landed just outside the wire, some short distance from the woods. So this is what the camp looked like. This is a mock-up. So, and this is another. This is George. This one here. So, and there's another couple of tunnels. There's Dick. And there's Tom. So this is an actual scale model of what the camp looked like. Stalag Luft 3. This is a cabinet dedicated to Second Lieutenant Robert R. Kurtz, who was American. And here's some of the actual artifacts that were found. There's the milk tins used for the air ducting, and I do believe that's a lamp, an oil lamp used in the tunnel Dick. This is what it would have looked like, only with less bedboards, I'm sure. They used most of the bedboards to shore up the tunnels. So you can see there a Red Cross parcel. That's what it would look like outside the window. That's a locker. Amazing how big it is. And that's a stove. Different to the stove that they showed in the film. That's probably an actual stove, a bit smaller. Here's some more artifacts. There you have a look. German mugs. Wartime logs. And this is depicting an aerial photograph of the area. And here's one of the ferrets. I ferret's uniform, of which there were many. And this is an aerial shot of the camp. So this is Stalag Luft 3, Stalag 8C, this is a west compound, this is the north compound. Now I think the north compound was where the wooden horse left from. And there's the train station up there. And this is the central compound and the east compound. So as you can see, it's a massive area, and at one stage it held over 20,000 prisoners. Here's some of the stuff the prisoners used to use: chessboards and drafts, musical instruments, obviously for baseball, golf. This is stuff that the forgers were used. The forgers were some of the best forgers in the business. And that's a picture of the 50. This is a picture of Tunnel Harry, Stalag Luft 3, 1944, by Nicholas Trudgian. This is the artefacts from the commandant, Friedrich Wilhelm von Lieder-Wilder. And after the Great Escape, he was court-martialed and sentenced to 1 year in prison. He feigned mental illness and spent a year in Gorlitz hospital, and then returned to the prison in January 1945 to fight against the Russians, and he was wounded and later surrendered to the British forces. He was imprisoned for 2 years at the British prisoner of war camp in London. He died on the 22nd of May 1963 at the age of 83 in Frankfurt am Main. Amazing. This is just a quick look around the exhibition part of the camp. So there's lots of stuff to see. Funny enough, lots of prisoners opted to wearing wooden clogs. So these are actual artefacts. Buttons by the looks of it. It's obviously stuff done by the forgers, I guess. And that's probably a Polish officer or Polish soldier. This is just some of the stuff that they found over the years. Obviously some of these tools were used for the digging of the tunnels. And what's left of a load of shoes by the looks of it. So that's a British uniform, and looks like a French uniform, or greatcoat. Looks like some of the cap badges that have been found, and buttons, and brasses. Well, I'm just about to enter the replica of Hut 104. Now, as you expect, on a Saturday there's a lot of people around. So there are already lots of people joining in activities, and in 2 days' time there's a big celebration going on here. So let's go and have a look at 104, where Harry left from. So this is Hut 104. So we enter the first room. So this is just a replica of the actual, what's the name? I'm sure there would have been more bunks in here, and they've been maybe a little bit more cramped. But I'm not sure that they've been allowed suitcases. But that's about the size of a lunch. So this is, I guess, some of the mock-up stuff, or from what it would have looked like, the instruments that they were using during the actual excavation of the tunnels. And this is depicting Harry. So, and I think they actually, when they were digging naked. As you can tell, wood floorboards. So this may have been the actual entrance to the tunnel. And these were the things that they used. There's the hook to open up the tunnel entrance, and this is what the trolley would look like. That's the size of it. It's quite something, and that's what the size of a tunnel would be using the bedboards. And another replica, and a poster of the 50. And I guess this wall shows the 50. I can only apologise about the floorboards. So those are the actual 50 that were murdered. And these are some of the pictures from the film. So this room is dedicated to the wooden horse, and the wooden horse was a famous breakout. They actually used a wooden vaulting horse, exactly like that. How they actually got 3 guys in there is amazing. But all 3 of them made a home run. So this is kind of the size of a hut. So that's just showing Project 104, RF High Wycombe Staff Ride 2007 comes help to construct it. So it's essentially 110 feet long by 45 foot wide. So, as expected, it's starting to rain. So I'm going to leave Hut 104, the mock-up of it, and I'm going to go and find out where the actual 104 was and look for Harry. So just going to have a walk up through the woods. Also up there is the memorial to the 50. So let's take a walk in the rain, shall we? Now it's not overly signposted, so I'm just heading and hoping. Now this was actually the site of Stalag Luft 3 and Stalag 8C. It's a big area. Now these trees are all sort of grown up since, I believe. So just going to wander along and see what we can see. So I think in the distance there I can possibly see something, but we're also going to look for the wooden horse, where that left from, because that's over in that direction there, I think. But first we're going to go up this way and we're going to try and find the memorial to the 50. So this is the exit of Harry. Tremendous, absolute tremendous. What a feat of months and months of hard work and that went into making the break. So as you can tell, it's still pouring with rain. Who would have thought it? But I guess if that's a mock-up of the tower, the guards weren't actually looking this way. They would have been looking into the compound, which is just over there. Now we go back into the compound and I'll show you something else. So although this wasn't under a hut, this was under the cooler. This is the foundations, what I think was the cooler. So should we go and have a look, see what's down here. Oop. So just have to be careful of my footing. Blimey, it's a little bit dark in here. So I guess this was the cooler. Yeah, I ain't going any further in there. So I guess that's where they kept prisoners, the naughty boys. And that's obviously the air holes that yeah, so you can see it must have been pretty grim to get sent to the Volager. God knows what they was doing here. And he goes all the way down there. And then all the way back there. So I guess Harry went underneath the Volager, the cooler. Now, let me just tell you that it's quite a way from the museum. It took a little bit of finding, if I'm honest, but I found it. So this is Harry, the actual layout of where the 76 escaped from. Now, although it was 76, there was 200 identified that were going to attempt to get out, and the problem was they were short. They was 20 or 30 feet short of the trees, so that's why it took so long getting them out. Plus, all this area was covered in snow at the time. But there you go. You need to watch the film and read the books. Right, I'm now going to go and have a look around the rest of the compound to see what else is there. There was a program not so long ago that did some digging up of one of the other tunnels. So let's see what we can find around here. So this is depicting the actual area of the escape. So that's Hut 104, where they sunk it and they went along. This is the Volager, or the what do you call it, cooler, and the first halfway is Piccadilly, the other one's Leicester Square. So we've had a look at Piccadilly and Leicester Square, and yeah, amazing to think that they managed to get so many out. And that's a picture of the stove. The ones they used in the film were round. These are actually square and a lot smaller than you think. And that's the entrance to the tunnel. So there's the diggers going down or coming up, and they generally went down naked or just wearing long johns. So right on this bit here, this would have been Hut 104. This was the actual hut that, or the piece of ground where Hut 104 was. And there's the entrance to Harry. Now, behind me, I've just come from this way. There's 104. And I guess I'm coming south because Harry went out north. But come south, and then we've got this here. Not quite sure what it is, but it's sunk into the ground. Just come just a little bit further south, about 20 metres or so, and I've come across this big lump of concrete. Not quite sure what it is. There's holes in the ground, and there's, as you can see, there's a hole there. So not quite sure what all this is, but there's some more over there. So we're just going to have a wander around and see what else we can find around here. But I'm not sure what the concrete's all about, unless this is a tunnel that's caved in over the years. So there's some more over there, and you can see some footings. So we'll just have a look at this one. Yeah, so that there can't be another, what's the name, but yeah, they've covered it up with pallets, but whatever it was has collapsed. Maybe I shouldn't be standing where I'm standing. Back off slowly, back off slowly. But it's some sort of brick affair. But there's some more what look like footings a little bit further down here. This would have all been part of the camp. Now all these trees must be just around about 80 years old, or maybe a little less than 80 years old, because during the war this would have all been flat. This would have been the camp, or North Compound. This would have been North Compound. Now I've come across some more footings. This is obviously another building. So these look quite high. I don't know why they'll be quite so high, or what was built on here. But what I've seen some more information just over there. So I'm going to have a look there. So this is fascinating stuff. It's just a shame that they've allowed all these trees to grow up round it. It's a shame they couldn't. I suppose the Russians were in charge of it after the war. So this part of Poland, or Poland in its entirety, was all Soviet, wasn't it? So let's go and have a look at the sign. So this is what I found. This is part of the theatre. This is the theatre. So it held about 350 guests or theatre goers. It had a stage, a backstage area, and the instruments were brought in by Germans, bought with prisoners' money, obviously. So this was the North Compound, and yeah, just over there, that's the theatre. Can you just imagine some of the plays that were put on in this theatre 80 odd years ago? So look, it slopes away. So this would have been the seating area here. That would have been the stage down there. Then the backstage area. They must have had people coming around with cigarettes, ice creams. So this is awesome. This is the theatre. So, yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, so that's the stage there. RBL. So this has obviously been some steps here up onto the stage. I wonder if that had been like a trap door for the stage. And there you go. There is the theatre. So just behind me here is the theatre, and I'm stood on the stage. I am actually on the stage of Stalag Luft 3's theatre, the British theatre. They put on all sorts of plays here. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well. To be or not to be, that is the question. Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou there, Romeo? I'm down here, you silly mare. So you can imagine the sort of plays and stuff that they would have put on this stage 80 odd years ago with an audience of around about 350. They invited the Germans and local dignitaries. Ha! Wow! He's all got to wow. I'm now just walking away from what was the theatre, and I'm not quite sure which direction I'm going in now. It's quite disorientating being in the woods, but I'm following a path. It looks like a fairly well trodden path. Hopefully this is going to take us to see another part of the camp. Just looking round to see what ground signs I can see of the remains of huts or whatever. This forest has been here since just after the war, I guess. So these trees are sort of 80 odd years old now. So unfortunately, a lot of the foundations and everything, and apparently after the war, locals came and raped the place of all the wood from the oh blimey, hang on, from the huts, all the brickwork. So lots of the camp was sort of borrowed or nicked. So that's why a lot of the camp isn't left here, although they still bits of it you can see, but lots of it's all overgrown. So I'm just going to try and head back now and try and find the memorial to the 50. So I've now come to the memorial that was built by the prisoners for the 50. So I'm just going to go and have a look at that. So this is the actual memorial, and it gives the names of all those that were murdered by the Nazis in reprisal for the escape. And it says, in memory of the officers who gave their lives, Sangen, March 1944. It's just outrageous that Hitler ordered that they should all be murdered, all 76 of them. But there was a couple that convinced him not to do it for fear of reprisals of German prisoners in England. So you notice that the reefs on the two on the right are from the British Legion or RAF, and then you've got some red, white and blue ones. Those are from the Czechs. There are quite a few Czechs that escaped, and they were also murdered by the Germans. So that's why there are different colour reefs there for the. So they're a piece of information. So the reason that they're there is Czechs have laid them for their lost. So just opposite the memorial to the 50, there's another gravesite which is to the Russians from the First World War. So I'll just give it a quick look at this. And that's just on the opposite side to where the monument to the 50 is. So this is a look at this memorial, and looks like some Czechs again. They've laid a Czech reef. (1420) 1940 to 1920. Oh, looks like the sun's coming out. So it's definitely to Russians. You can actually see the Russian hammer and sickle and star up there. And this was from 41 to 45. And it looks like there's an awful lot of graves here. A mass grave area. So there you go. That's just opposite. Oh, I've made it. Now I've come down this track. It's not the easiest thing to find, and it's not signposted. Not very well anyway. But I have found, dun dun dun, the spot where the wooden horse escaped from. Now, I was talking to the guy back at the museum, and he was asking, or he was saying that what they're trying to do is to find some money to be able to do what they've done up at Harry. They're looking at this by all accounts is the actual spot where they put the vaulting horse every day, and they dug out in that direction. So this is it. So Richard Codder, Eric Williams and Oliver Philpott were the three that escaped from this prisoner war camp on, when did they get out? 1943. So yeah, work began in July 1943 and was slow because only limited amount of heavy sand could be carried away in the horse at one time. By October the 29th, 1943, the tunnel was almost complete, and at 1300 hours, Codner went down in the shaft to escape. As he still had to dig a further few feet, he was sealed in the tunnel at 1400 hours. When the horse was removed at 16:15, Philpott, Williams and Lieutenant Alistair Mackay went out in the horse. Philpott and Williams entered the tunnel and were sealed in by Mackay. They spread a lot of the sand behind them, then in the tunnel, and exited at 1800 hours. The tunnel was 5 foot deep and about 100 feet long. The exit was 15 feet outside the perimeter fence. The trio made their way by train to the Baltic. Philpott headed for Danzig, now Gdansk, while Williams and Codder, posed as French labourers, made their way to Stettin, where they eventually managed to make contact with the Danish resistance and gain passage on a ship to Copenhagen and then to Gothenburg in neutral Sweden. They then met Philpott, who had been able to travel more quickly to Sweden via Danzig. From Sweden, all three officers were repatriated to Britain. what a fantastic story that is. Yeah, The Wooden Horse is one of my all-time favourite films, and to actually come here, and a bit of a moment. Cool. Yeah. The tension, the month after month. They started in July and finished in the end of October, and then made a home run. That in itself is massively impressive. You can't, I mean, just, yeah, unbelievable bravery from these three guys. And they spent months, and the commitment of the other guys that were jumping over the horse day in, day out, from July to the end of August. Must have taken some monumental effort just to keep going and to get away with it, to actually get away with it. I mean, the tunnel entrance is here, and what did they say? It was about 100 feet. So let's just mark it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This would have been about where the wire was, where this track is. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This would have been just outside the wire. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So from there, that's about 100 feet. This is just on the tree line. Just on the tree line. This must have been where they got out. 1800 hours. Just as it's getting dark. And then they made their way away from the camp to the railway station, jumped on rattlers and got away. What a brilliant story. If you've not seen the film The Wooden Horse, it is brilliant. It's one of those fantastic films that is an absolute classic. And this is where it actually happened. Wow. Just wow. I'm blown away. So just putting a little bit of perspective. This here, that is where we stood now. This is North Compound, I believe. So that's their route out. They got out that way. Now, to get to Harry, you got about 300 metres this way and about a mile that way. There's Harry. So that's the other compound where the Great Escape happened. So there's 104 and there's their escape route, and they just missed the trees. But this, I mean, just look at the size of the camp. I'll just come up this road here and come in this way, and that's about 200 metres, that bit. That's about another 300 metres, so it's about half a mile, 500 metres. So you can judge the scale of the camp. It is massive. So this area out in front here, oh look, I missed the back. So this is the film. This is the picture of the film of The Wooden Horse. So these are the guys that actually went through it, and they were advised by Eric Williams. Eric Williams was the the advisor on the film. So it must have been amazing for him to come back here and to actually, yeah, amazing. Oh, look at this. That's Anthony Steele as John Calder, Eric Williams, Leo Glenn, Peter Williams, and Jack Lee, the director, and Ralph Ward, consultant. And these are just some of the pictures from the film. So this is it. So I don't know exactly where. So the filming was at Lüneburg, Heidel training ground near the town of Soltau in Germany. Well, Soltau, up until the British left, and probably still is, a training area. It's still a training area. Amazing, absolutely amazing. So, yeah, so from the signpost, just looking back this way, this must have been the sports area, the field, where they carried it out every day. And walking back into the camp, this is looking back into the camp, so you can see there some foundations of one of the buildings. This may have been the storage area where they kept the horse. You notice it's started to rain again. So the museum, I was talking to the guy at the museum, and he was saying that they're looking for some funding to be able to mark out this bit of area to show where it actually took place, to lay out the tunnel itself. But there you go. Amazing. I'm blown away. So here we go then. That's the sign for the museum as you're coming down this road. You see a couple of guard towers and a sentry post. And yeah. So this is the way into the museum itself. Now they lay on little different events and stuff like that, and today they've got a youth group in, a load of kids, and they're laying on stuff for them. So there you go. This is the end. This is the end of my little tour of Stalag 8C and Stalag Luft 3. Now I've walked miles. Did a few miles extra because I got directionally challenged. Didn't get lost, was never lost. I just couldn't find what I was looking for, and basically I hadn't gone quite far enough. But here we are, back at the museum, and I've got about half an hour to wait for my taxi. Now if you are planning on coming here, it is well worth the visit. I think it's very friendly people, Poles, and the museum itself is well laid out, as you saw earlier in the video. So Hut 3, or Hut 104 should I say, just over there, Hut 104. Not all the rooms are open, but it's worth the visit. That's all I will say. So if you are planning a road trip, this is one of the places you want to come. So that's the end of the tour. I'm going to go and write in the comments book now.